Year 10. Right, we're going to start with chapter 11. So I'm going to write some notes. You might want to write these notes in your grey books. If you've got your grey book, if you haven't got your grey book at home, just find a notepad or something and we can make sure all those pages are put into your grey book when we get back to school. So for those of you keeping kind of content pages, etc., we're going to be in chapter 11, which is called Multiplicative Reason. Reasoning. Now, that title doesn't give much away, and actually the chapter is a real mishmash of stuff. So we are going to end up looking at density and pressure, and we're going to recap proportion. Simple and compound interest, however, is what we're going to start with. So how this is going to work, I'm going to write some notes. You probably want to write similar. You always make yours much better than mine with colour, etc. Little notes, funny things that I've said that might help you to remember things. And then I'm going to stop and tell you what number worksheet follows from the lesson that we've just had. So I'm going to do some teaching and then I'll stop and say, right, now you need to do worksheet 1, for example. Now you might find that the notes and the sheet take you an hour, which would then kind of be one of our maths lessons. Then the next time you look at maths, you can watch the next video. Or you might have, you might do a couple of videos back to back. But anyway, our first title is going to be interest. Now we've got two types that we need to concern ourselves with. So we've got what we call simple interest and we've got compound interest. Now in reality, compound interest is what happens. In maths exams, it's possible that simple interest will happen. More often than not, in the higher papers, it's going to be compound interest that we're interested in. But sometimes they throw in a simple interest question as a bit of a curveball. So the main difference is simple interest doesn't change. It doesn't care how much money is in your bank account. So simple interest, it doesn't change. So that's if you got interest in the first year of £200, your interest in the second year would be £200, and your interest in the third year would be £200. Compound interest, however, compound interest changes. So compound interest at the end of the first year says, you've got a little bit more money in your account now. Hence, I'm going to have to give you a little bit more interest. Now, those of you watching the news will see that interest rates have dropped to an all-time low. So the numbers that I use for my examples here are going to be slightly unrealistic. I'm not sure the exam boards will go as low with their interest rates as the country. So I'm going to be using numbers that are a bit bigger than real life. Right, so let's pretend that we've got £500 and we want to invest it for let's say 4 years, and let's say that the interest rate is 3%. So what that means is the bank kind of pays you for leaving your money with them. So the bank will give you 3% of whatever money you have in the account at the end. So interest is a good thing. Interest, you can kind of accumulate interest. The saying, if you've got a lot of money, it's easy to make money, relates to the fact that if you've got a lot of money, 3% of a lot of money is quite a decent amount. Anyway, let's have a look. So I'm going to keep my page split into compound and simple. So this is going to be my simple side, and that's going to be my compound side. So for simple interest, I simply need to know what is 3% of 500. That's going to be my interest. Now, in order to work out 3% of 500, I could work out 1% by dividing it by 100 and timesing it by 3, but I'm going to use our calculator method. So I'm going to say that 3% is equivalent to 0.03. Remember, percentage to decimal divide by 100. And in maths, whenever we say of, we mean times. So we want 3% of 500, which is going to give me 15. So I'm going to get £15. That's what 3% is. Now I'm investing for 4 years. So at the end of the time I will have earned £60, hence I will have £560 in the account at the end of the 4 years. So that's simple interest. It's simple in nature, but it's also simple to work out. That wasn't too difficult. Compound interest, however, says, right, so in the first year, you're going to earn 3%, and then we'll add that 3% onto the 500. So now you've got £505. And then it says, well, in the next year, I need to work out 3% of that new price. Yeah? So if we did it the long-handed way, we would say, well, I've got 500 and I need to increase it by 3%. Remember, for a percentage increase, I have my 0.03 and I add it to 1. That's how I do a percentage increase. We've talked about that way back when. So that's what I'm going to get that's what I'm going to have after the first year. I'm going to add my 3%, which we knew was £15. I'm going to add my 3% onto my 500. And I can do that in one calculation. Right, and then, in the second year then, well, I've got this much in my bank account now, and I need to increase that by 3%. So now it's not going to be 15, it's going to be, I am secretly using a calculator here, it's going to be £530 and 45 pence. So if you imagine, if we'd done simple interest, at this point we would have £530. But now I've gained an extra 45p. And then you can imagine doing this in the next year. I would do that times 1.03, and I would keep going. That, however, is slightly long-winded. We can write this in one line. If you imagine, if I hadn't worked out this answer, I would have done 500 times 1.03, and I would have timesed it by 1.03. That's the same as this line, just instead of writing 515, I've written the calculation that gets me 515. And then if you imagine on the next line, I would do this answer, and I would times it by 1.03, and that would go on. So what I actually end up doing is 500 times 1.03, and I end up timesing it by 1.03 4 times, because I'm doing it for 4 years. So that's always going to be the amount that you start with. This is going to be the interest rate, and then the power is going to be the number of years. So even though it's quite a difficult calculation, you can actually work it out in one foul swoop. So let's have a look. So 500 times 1.03 to the power 4, which gives me £562.75 if I round it. So £562.75. So you can see, although the difference isn't massive, that I do get more money with the compound interest. So compound interest is preferred. Compound interest is, in real life, kind of what you want, because over 4 years I've gained £2.75 for doing absolutely nothing other than for leaving my money in the bank. Okay, so as a general rule, you're going to have the amount, you're going to times it by the percent, and then it's going to have the number of years. Now, within this interest topic, we might also need to think about the value of a car perhaps going down. So in the lesson I would have probably said, give me something which reliably decreases in value over time, and you no doubt would have given me a range of funny answers. I can't think of what, somebody said something really funny last year, something that gets less value over time. I can't remember what they said. I think they said their dog or something, which I thought was a bit odd. Anyway, a car is the classic example. A car is something which over time will decrease in value, which we tend to call depreciation. So that means if something goes down in value over time. So let's say I've got a car and it's worth £7,000, and every year its value decreases by I mean, I have no idea. 10%? I know nothing about cars. Every year its value decreases by 10%, and then we want work out the value. I forgot to say, remember you can pause at any point, A, if you're fed up of me, and B, if you need time to catch up with your notes. Work out the value after 5 years. So we're going to use our same one-line method here. So I'm going to say the value of the car is 7,000 to begin with. And now this time, if it was increasing in value every year, I would times it by 1.1. But think back to when we did the percentage decrease. Instead of adding it on to 1, we're going to take it away from 1. And because I'm taking away 10%, it's going to be 0.9 to the power 5. So that was the value. This 0.9 comes from the fact that my 10% is going to be 0.1. And because it's going to be decreasing, I'm going to be taking it away from 1. So if I type that in, times 0.9 to the power 5, wow, so after 5 years, my car has gone down to £4,133.43. Okay, so interest and depreciation, it's all the same concept. Now, one thing that I do just want to point out is sometimes they'll give you a really nasty interest rate. So they might say something like, you've invested £7,000 for 10 years with an interest rate of 1.25%. Just be really, really careful when you have such a small percentage. Okay, so that's going to be 7,000 times 1 point. If I'm going back to the bank account situation, now I need to divide that by 100. Okay, if in doubt, yeah, so 0.125, and I've added it on to 1. Lots and lots of people will see that and will write 1.125. Be really, really, really careful. Okay, so the interest rate is 1.25. Divide that by 100, and I'm doing that for 10 years. So 7,000 times 1.0125 for 10 years. So I'd have £7,925.90. Okay? So that's compound interest and simple interest, touching also on depreciation, which I think you'll agree is the same thing, really. It's the same logic. So you've got amount, percentage, fact, and year. So if you use that template, it'll be absolutely fine. That'll work every time. Okay. So I'm going to write here now that I'd like you to look at worksheets 1 and 2. Okay. So you'll be glad to know I'm going to shut up now. You can look at worksheets 1 and 2, which will touch on the things that we've just done. And then there'll be another video when you're ready to have your next maths lesson, which is going to look at a few different formulae. As always, let me know if there's any problems. I will upload the answers as well to worksheets 1 and 2 at the end of the week. Okay, so every week you'll have a few videos and a few sheets, and then at the end of the week I'll upload the answers. But please keep in touch. Let me know if you want me to go over anything. If you've got any questions, let me know. It might be that if I get a lot of questions, I'll make a video answering all your questions. So please keep in touch. Let me know if there's any problems. And also, thank you to the people that have been looking at the maths puzzles that I've been putting on the YouTube page. Have a look at them if you've got a spare 5 minutes with nothing else to do. All right, speak to you soon. Bye.